come down to it, sisters and brothers, you cannot build a house without a foundation. If you don't have a foundation, you don't know what anything is. And the Lord caused me to put this Black History series together is because I come to the conclusion that this Bible is my history and yours. And the only history that we can account to over here, when they start talking about black history, they don't even go back and get Harriet Tubman no more. You understand what I'm saying? You start telling me about celebrities. Let me tell you something, sisters and brothers. If our history is all about slaves and entertainers, we don't have a history. We just fit it into somebody else's history. So the Lord said, put it on my mind, sisters and brothers, to do it. So last week, we had Black History Told by the Prophets, Part 1, which was color. And if you was here last week, you don't have any doubt in your mind that Israel or the so-called real Jews are black folks. I mean, none whatsoever, unless you just brain dead. This leg, sisters and brothers, is Black History Told by the Prophets, Part 2, slavery. Slavery. You see, the Lord told it all because he knew that there was going to come a time when his people were going to be forgotten. He even said you're going to be forgotten. But then he gave you certain things that's going to happen to his people. And whoever this happened to, this is his people. It's just like I ask this question all the time. I wonder if the average black ever asked themselves the question, why am I in this entire hemisphere that was brought here against his will? Nobody else. Have to have some significance, sisters and brothers. Because the funny thing, you had a lot of society that was weak, a lot of society that could be taken over and knocked off by strong nations and tyrants, but why is it that you're the only one that was brought here as slaves? They should have brought the rest up. But they couldn't do it, sisters and brothers, because the Lord had a plan. He laid something out. So in these last days, he let his people know who they are and what they're supposed to do. Now, we're going to deal with this slavery. We're going to start in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. We will not be able to deal with no entire chapter, sisters and brothers. We're just going to hit here and there because there are a lot of things that you need to be taught and that we need to understand. And this is not a place where you come and we're going to read us a verse or two and then I'm going to talk to you. My memory ain't that long. So we're going to do a lot of reading in a lot of places. And we're going to come to some understanding. That's why I tell people, bring your Bible, because we're going to read this together. Too many times we have been used to people telling us things without any kind of proof. Because what we're going to teach here is the Word of God. And the only way for you to teach the Word of God is to teach it out of his book. So now, when the Lord brought Israel out of Egypt, he brought them into the wilderness. Then the Lord started to tell Israel what was going to happen to him if he keep his laws, or what's going to happen to him if they fail to keep his law. All of this in 28th chapter of Deuteronomy, we hadn't even gotten to the promised land yet. So the Lord gave you all the laws, all the statutes, everything you need, so when you get to the land, you will be prepared to serve him as a nation. We're going to start this at verse 1, Deuteronomy 28 and 1. Now the Lord told Israel, that's why I say I don't have any problem with any other people. Wherever we have served as slaves, I don't have a problem with those people. This is between us, our forefathers, and our God. Had we done it right, none of this stuff would have happened to us. We would have been the boss. Verse 1, go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day,
go ahead,
that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Now, that's pretty clear, isn't it? If you do all that I tell you to do and keep my commandments, which I tell you this day, because the Lord, he can set this day, because if whatever day that the Lord gave the commandments, it is good for all days, sisters and brothers. That's right. He is God and he changed not. I can read that to you. So he said, now, you will be above all nations. That is a vaunted position, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Go ahead and read.
And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Go ahead.
Blessed shall thou be in the city, and blessed shall thou be in the field.
Now, no matter where you find yourself, he said they're going to overtake you. You're just going to be blessed. You ain't going to be blessed by accident, look like. You're going to be blessed in the city. You're going to be blessed in the field. Go ahead and read.
Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body.
Your children going to be blessed. That's the fruit of your body. Go ahead and read.
And the fruit of thy ground. And the fruit of thy cattle.
Go ahead.
The increase of thy kind. And the flocks of thy sheep.
Now, the Lord just let you know no matter what you tried, he was going to bless you. That's a great big, and the Lord really laid it on the table, sister and brother. But we can't deal with all of it, so skip down to verse 12. Verse 12. Verse 12. And go ahead.
The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure. The heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season.
Go ahead.
And to bless all the work of thine hand.
Now that's, that word all is absolute, ain't it? To bless all the work of your hand. Go ahead and read.
And thou shalt lend unto many nations. And thou shalt not borrow.
In other words, we were supposed to be, if we had done it, we would be the financiers of all nations. And we would not have to borrow anything from anybody. Think about it, sisters and brothers, what we could have had.
Right.
I'm talking, we the financiers. Our picture would have been on the money.
That's right. That's right.
Think about it. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord shall make thee the head, and not the tail.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath.
Boy, that word, another absolute. Thou shalt be above only. Yeah. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around that. And not beneath, sisters and brothers. The Lord has made us some great big promises here if we obey. Go ahead and read.
If that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God.
See, the whole thing, sisters and brothers, the Lord, everything he do is conditional. That old thing that people say, well, the Lord love you unconditionally, that's the biggest lie ever been told. You don't even love your children unconditionally. You get one of them that's already rebelling, doing something wrong. You find out how to fall out of love in a minute. But the Lord said, if you keep his commandments, all of this blessing is going to happen to you. But now, there's another shoe to drop, sisters and brothers. Let's look at the other side of this. Skip down to verse 15. Verse 15, and go ahead.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
go ahead,
to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day,
go ahead,
that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Now all of a sudden, all these curses are going to come upon you and overtake you. No matter where you go, them curses going to show up. Like a lot of them said, we're going to move way out in the suburbs. We're going to get to, all these big names they built because we can get away from this city. So then you get away, and then here come the curses behind you. How is it that these hoodlums got out here? That's because he's sitting in your neighbor's living room looking at TV. The curses will follow you. Go ahead and read.
Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field.
No matter where you are, your condition is going to be the same. Go ahead and read.
Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body.
Go ahead.
And the fruit of thy land. The increase of thy kind.
Go ahead.
And the flocks of thy sheep.
The Lord is turning this whole thing just the other. Your children's going to be cursed. You're going to be cursed wherever you are. You ain't got no oxen, no sheep, but then you going to work, you make money, and you pay all the bills. Now you can't buy groceries. He said he's going to do that, but the whole thing is, then he said, I'm going to scatter you. Skip down to verse 25. Verse 25 and read it.
The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them.
Go ahead.
And flee 7 ways before them. And shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
When you remove, somebody else is doing that, ain't it? We ain't talking migrate here, sisters and brothers. You shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Skip down to verse 28. Verse 28 and go ahead.
The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart.
You're always being surprised, and you're always angry, and you're blind. You can't ever see the way. You see, a lot of young people don't remember back in the 60s when I was coming along. You know, we used to sit in. We used to march. We used to shake the fish and threaten. But when it all came down, we wasn't no place. Because it is the hand of the Lord that's doing this. What verse is that?
That was the end of 28.
Keep reading.
And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness.
Do you know what groping means? It means you don't know what to do. So you're going to grope at noonday, just like somebody grope in darkness. You don't know where to go because you done tried everything. You done talk soft. That don't matter. You done threaten. That don't matter. You done tried to behave like that. That don't matter. Then you done went super black. That don't matter. You don't know what to do no more. It's all that simple. You don't know what to do no more. I used to be a Negro. Then I went African American. Then I went just plain black. Then I turned around and became Afro-American. But every time I look in the mirror, I'm looking at the same person. And my condition is prevailing. And so are my children. But the Lord said, He going to do this to you. He is. Go ahead and read.
And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore.
Go ahead.
And no man shall save thee.
And ain't nobody going to get you out of this condition, sisters and brothers. I mean, nobody. Look, John Brown and his whole house got killed trying to help you. He knew who you was. John Brown was a preacher. In fact, the place he was taking you to, he called it New Jerusalem. But he didn't understand. You can't take these people nowhere because the curse is what laid the hand on us, sisters and brothers.
Yes.
Now, we got this man here. Obviously, he was a pretty good man if you're going to get your whole household killed. But then he was a decent preacher. He knew something. He was more than a New Testament Christian.
Yes, he was.
Go ahead and read.
Verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
We sure know that, don't we? Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein.
We know about that too. Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof.
Go ahead. Now look, he's going to build a house. You're going to marry a wife. You know, you see, the young folks don't know about this, sisters and brothers. But a whole lot of this used to happen. Especially in slavery time, you had a wife. Master had to give her a test run for you. You build houses, you couldn't live in it. You plant crops, somebody else reaped the proceeds. Even during the time when my dad was telling me about the reason he left the country because he was a sharecropper. But at the end of every year, well, you know, one of your boys was sick, and you know, and you had a little problem here, you know, and you got grocers here. Well, in fact, you owe me. And everybody didn't get that 20 acres and a mule either.
No, they didn't.
Think about it, sisters and brothers. But the Lord said, this is going to happen to you. Skip down to verse 36. Verse 36. And go ahead.
The Lord shall bring thee, and thy king which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone.
So now this is sisters and brothers, this is not just in the American hemisphere, this is all over the world. Even among the children of Ham, sisters and brothers. And you're going to say, you are your father have known, and you're going to serve other gods, woods and stone. See, the gods that we are serving now, our fathers didn't know nothing about. Go ahead and read.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations whither the Lord shall lead thee.
That's an astonishment and a proverb. That's them little pet name. And a byword. They're always talking about you. An object of scorn and hate. Even though you haven't done nothing to nobody. I show up. Why you hate me? Because your God said that's going to happen. Why is you always going to be astonished at what's happened? Because your God said it's going to do it.
That's right.
Now he's telling Israel all this before Israel even got to the promised land, sisters and brothers.
Yes.
Think about it. We had something to chew on here. Go ahead and read. Or skip down to verse 41. 41. Go ahead.
Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
You're going to have children, and they're going to be sold as slaves. Go ahead and read.
All thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within thee shall go up above thee very high.
Go ahead.
And thou shalt come down very low.
Look, the Lord didn't name a people among us. When Israel come out of Egypt, it was a mixed multitude. And he said a stranger that's within you going to come up very high, and you going to come down very low. These are signs that the Lord is going to deal with you. Just look at your community now. Who you buying your groceries from? Who you buying your cars from? Who is rehabbing and building your houses? Who is selling you your wigs? And the weed that go in your hair. Who's selling it to you?
Oh, that's strange.
Even when you go to the restaurants, where are your restaurants? Everybody that's doing, all the people that you getting your supplies or services from look like somebody else. Sisters and brothers, you don't have a Greek town. You don't have a Jew town. They used to think they was, no, they was the one that was doing the selling. You understand? You don't have a Chinatown. Everything that you buy it from somebody just like you. So he said, so who's cutting your grass now? The Hispanics. Who rehabbing your house? The Polish. Who's selling you hair? You can't even get a distributorship in.
That's right.
The Koreans. I fought against the Vietnam, and they got a thriving community going on northwest of Chicago. And when I see somebody sweeping the floor, it's me. He said, the Lord didn't name a person. That stranger that's among you.
That's right.
Mixed multitude going to come up very high, and you're going to come down very low. Go ahead and read.
He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him.
He going to loan you, but you ain't going to be able to loan to him. Now, who is it that we as a people loan anybody?
Nobody.
I mean, in the venue, you can't loan nobody. I loan you $10, you got to get it back. I can't pay my rent.
Right.
But the Lord said, and see how this position has changed? All of a sudden, when we was going to be the singular financiers of the whole world, now we have everybody else that we have to go to begging for money to get a loan. What verse are we?
Middle of 44.
Go ahead and read.
He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail.
Yes, go ahead.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed.
Go ahead.
Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
See, that's why he said they're going to overtake you until you're going to be destroyed. He's not talking about kill everybody. You ain't going to have no power, no nothing. Every law that you live by is created by somebody else. Every rule that you have to adhere to is set by somebody else. So instead of being the leader, you are the follower. Yeah. Go ahead and read.
To keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee.
Because we fail to do that. What verse are we?
Verse 46.
Go ahead and read.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
Do you know what a sign is? That's to identify, ain't it? So now, when you find a people that all of this stuff has happened to, that's that sign that this is Israel. That's all that simple.
Yes.
This is Israel. And when it comes down to what's happened to us, sisters and brothers, nobody can make the claim. You hear me? Nobody. Skip down to verse, what verse was that?
That was the end of 46.
Skip down to verse 64, because we're going to have to get out of this chapter. Go ahead and read.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
See, I mean, the Lord's going to scatter you from one end of the earth to the other, sister and brother. And you're going to serve other gods that we not our Father have known. Our Father don't know nothing about the God of Christmas, sisters and brothers. We don't know about the God of Easter. The God that we said he desired to come and live among us. We don't know about the God that's going to take you off there. We don't know about that God. The God that we serve said, I got commandments and statutes and laws you got to adhere to.
Right.
We don't know about the God that all you got to see is I call on his name and I'm saved. God we know about, our fathers know about, is a conditional God. So the gods that we'll serve, we don't know nothing about. We don't know about the God of Sunday. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is the true and living God. He set the Sabbath day, the seventh day, as his Sabbath day when there was no man created. How is it then we're going to come and we're going to change this? Well, you know, because Christ rose on Easter Sunday. Christ didn't rise on Easter Sunday. Well, because Paul broke bread on Sunday. Every day that Paul ate bread, he broke it.
That's right.
Well, why don't you just go back to where it really come from, Emperor Constantine? Mm-hmm. So I takes the Lord's Sabbath day over Emperor Constantine's Sabbath day. Because our Father didn't know nothing about this God. Skip down to verse 68, and read it.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee.
See, Egypt to us is captivity, sisters and brothers. He told you in other places you ain't going back down there as a people. Remember, he said he's going to scatter you into every nation under the sun, didn't he? Yeah. You know, Egypt is just one nation, ain't it? But he is talking about wherever you are. It's a house of bondage to you. I'm going to bring you to Egypt again by ships. Go ahead and read.
Thou shalt see it no more again. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
And once you get there, you're going to be sold as female and male slaves, sisters and brothers. They brought you by ship. What did they do? Well, did you have your nice lounge where you could sit up there and enjoy yourself? Nice shot of Jack Daniels? No. This is how it brought you. Right here. You see this? These are layers, sisters and brothers, on these slave ships. These are heads, these are feet, head, feet. Look at you, stacked up like planks. And what you think it had to happen when you had to use the washroom? You had a problem. Right. In other cases, they even stuffed you so you couldn't use it. Think about it, sisters and brothers. Can you imagine? Now look, how long do you think it would take you to get to the African continent in a regular modern ship? Can you imagine how long it took them to get here on one of them old sailboat ships? You had to come. You talking about months and months and months. You was in that condition. This is one that they wasn't dead when they got, and a lot of them was, sisters and brothers. That's right. But I don't lay that to the feet of the Gentile. I lay that to the feet of our forefathers. All of this stuff now. God done run all this stuff by our forefathers. Now, let's see which one did we choose. Let's go into Daniel, the 9th chapter. That's why I used to go to some of the Hebrew meetings we used to have. And I'd always get into it with them. Because they have a memory problem. We want to blame everybody for our shortcomings. Had we not done it, we would have been the people. Daniel's 9, and we're going to start at verse 9. Daniel's 9 and 9. 9 and 9. Okay, read it.
To the Lord our God belong mercies and forgivenesses, though we have rebelled against him.
Now, he still belongs mercy, even though we rebelled against him. Skip down to verse 11. Verse 11, and go ahead.
Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law.
How many?
All.
All Israel have transgressed thy law. Go ahead and read.
Even by departing that they might not obey thy voice.
Go ahead.
Therefore the curse is poured upon us. And the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God.
Say, all of us have disobeyed, therefore the curse is poured upon us. We read the blessing and the curses, didn't we? Even the oath that's written by Moses, the man of God. Go ahead and read.
Because we have sinned against him. And he hath confirmed his words, which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven had not been done as has been done upon Jerusalem.
Now think about it. Who is it in this hemisphere have had done to them which have been done to us? Nobody. Haiti, slave camp. Jamaica, slave camp. All them nice Virgin Islands like you like to go, slave camp. Believe, slave camp. And whoever had you, that's whose language you speak. This whole hemisphere, nobody has had it happen to them as it's happened to us, sister and brother. You know why? It's because we have fallen under the curse. And ain't nobody to blame but our forefathers. The Lord told us all this before we even got to the promised land the first time. Let's go into Isaiah, the 5th chapter. Isaiah chapter 5. Because, sisters and brothers, that's why I say it is all here. We can't deal with everything, but the Lord is so precise on identifying what's going to happen to us until, if you can't understand it, that's because you're just blind and you just decide you're going to blind yourself. Because this thing is for real, sisters and brothers. It happened to us. That's like, I'll never forget when they had this former Alderman Dorothy Tillman, and then you had this Conrad Worrell running around. We're going to get us some reparation. I said, you ain't getting nothing.
That's right.
Have we gotten any? Everybody got some. But us, even American Indians, they got some. I even saw one on TV. Peddling them juice loans. You can't do it. Let's think about it, sisters and brothers. Japanese got reparation. Everybody got it. But we didn't get nothing. You know why? Because this is between us and our God. The Lord will not let them do this to you. I know you don't want to hear it, but that's the way it is. Isaiah 5 and verse 11. 5 and 11. Go ahead and read.
Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, that continue until night, till wine inflame them.
Go ahead.
And the harp and the viol, the tabret and pipe and wine are in their feasts.
Go ahead.
But they regard not the work of the Lord, neither consider the operation of his hand.
He said, look, warn to them. All you want to do is cavort, have fun, party. And you don't consider the operation of the Lord's hand. And we don't do it. We party everywhere, don't we?
Yes, we do.
All of a sudden, you get this great guy that killed himself. He was good in his time. But as far as salvation is concerned, he had no properties, you understand, that could get you into God's kingdom. He said, woe unto you that love to party. Ain't nothing wrong with partying. I do a little of that myself. Might hit a Jack Daniels every now and then. However, but I consider the works of God's hands, sister and brother. Yes. Because if you don't, what's going to happen? Go ahead and read.
Therefore my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge.
Oh, so we are in captivity because we don't have no knowledge. We didn't take note of what God said he would do to us, whether we do good or whether we do bad. Go ahead and read.
And their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst.
So your honorable men don't know nothing. So if your honorable men don't know nothing, so you can't know nothing either. You dried up with thirst. Go ahead and read.
Therefore hell hath enlarged herself, and opened her mouth without measure. And their glory, and their multitude, and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it.
Look, sisters and brothers, We know that hell, when you think hell, you think Satan, the devil, barbecuing somebody, don't you? Well, that ain't, no matter what you name that, that's not going to happen. There is a lake of fire, sisters and brothers. And the Lord created it for Satan and his angels. He didn't create it to give Satan a dominion. But hell itself is a state of condition. Even the grave is called hell. Sheol is in the Bible. But it is hell, sister and brother, when you work a whole week and go home and tired and you don't have enough money to pay your bills. Come on now. It's hell to walk down your own streets and you can't wait to get home because you're watching your neighbor's son. That's right. It is hell when you have to have so many locks on your doors until if you got a fire, by the time you got through navigating them locks, you'll be burnt up. You're scared of your children. You're scared in the daytime. You're scared at nighttime. It is hell, sisters and brothers. You got a car and you got to hide it from the repo man. There's a whole lot of things of hell, sisters and brothers. Think about it. And that's what's happened with us. Our children own dope. Our daughters out there prostitute. Young men riding by killing one another. And the jails are so stuffed. What does it take? A shoe spoon to get us in there. That's hell, sister and brother. Because we did not pay no attention to the Lord. Because the Lord tried to bless us, we would not allow him to bless us. Let me give you a good idea of what I'm talking about. Let's go into Songs of Solomon, the first chapter. Songs of Solomon, chapter 1. I wish that was unconditional blessing, but the Lord don't play that, sisters and brothers. Because most people don't pay no attention to what Jesus said when people said, ask him to come up to get healed. He said, be it according to your faith. You don't have no faith, you don't have no healing coming. Songs of Solomon. And we're just going to pick out a couple of things, sisters and brothers. We can't read everything. Verse 1. Songs of Solomon, we're going to read verse 1 first. Read it.
The Song of Songs, which is Solomon.
I just want you to know that Solomon is the one who put this together. But I'm going to tell you, we're going to see if Solomon is talking about himself or some love affair that he having with some strange woman. Like they would have you believe. Skip down to verse 5 and go ahead.
I am black but calmly, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar.
Go ahead.
As the curtains of Solomon.
Go ahead.
Look not upon me because I am black. Because the sun has looked upon me.
Have you ever seen the sun turn anybody black, sister and brother? He might get you a real deep tan. If you stay out too long, you're going to get baked and you're going to die. But the Lord is using it as a metaphor. He said, look not upon me because I'm black, because he was. Go ahead and read.
My mother's children were angry with me.
My mother's children was angry with me. You know what? Let's investigate that a little. Put a marker here. We're going to come back here, sisters and brothers. Let's do a little investigating on his mother's children that was angry with him. Because we want to see, because when I look at Solomon, I don't remember nobody being angry with him. So we're going to pursue it a little bit. Let's go into the 69th chapter of Psalms. Keep your marker here. We're going to come back here. We're going to go to a couple of places and we'll be back. Back up to Psalm chapter, the 69th chapter. Or like you used to like to say in the churches, the 69th Psalm. Now we're going to start reading at verse 9. Now David is the one that's accredited for writing Psalm. But David told you that the Spirit of the Lord spoke by him. And verse 6, brother. 69 and 6. 69 and 6. Okay, read it.
Let not them that wait on thee, O Lord of hosts, be ashamed for my sake.
Look, sisters and brothers, now whoever this is, he said, let not them that wait on thee, O Lord, be ashamed for my sake. Whoever it is, he's asking the Lord to show favor to somebody else for his sake. Whoever this is that's doing the talking. Go ahead and read.
Let not those that seek thee be confounded for my sake, O God of Israel.
He must be a real important person. He said, now don't let those that seek thee be confounded for my sake, O God of Israel. Go ahead and read.
Because for thy sake I have borne reproach. shame hath covered my face.
Oh, so he said, now don't let nothing happen to him for my sake, because I have done something for your sake. For your sake, I have borne shame and reproach. Shame has covered my face. Go ahead and read.
I am become a stranger unto my brethren, and an alien unto my mother's children.
Oh, no wonder he said that his mother's children was angry with him. He said, I've become a stranger to him, and I'm an alien to my mother's children. Go ahead and read.
For the zeal of thine house hath eaten me up.
For the zeal of thine house hath eaten me up.
And the reproaches of them that reproach thee are fallen upon me.
And the reproaches of them that reproach thee are fallen up on me. So whoever this guy is, his mother's children are angry with him, and he has suffered shame for the Lord's sake. Let's find out who this is that's talking about the mouth of David. Let's go into Romans, the 15th chapter. Romans chapter 15. See, this is how you find stuff out, sisters and brothers. I can interpret that, and I tell you, if I did, I would be so wrong until I would even deceive myself. Because you can't interpret stuff like that. You have to do what the Lord said. You have to go here a little and there a little. Line upon line, precept upon precept. Romans chapter 15. Romans the 15th chapter. And we're going to read verse 1, 15 and 1. Read it.
We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and not to please ourselves.
Now those of us that are strong, we are supposed to do that. Help the weak. Because if we have strength, we know where the weak have problems at. We're supposed to be like the one that we serve. Go ahead, skip down to verse 3 and read it.
For even Christ pleased not himself.
For even Jesus pleased not himself. Go ahead.
But as it is written.
But as it is written.
The reproaches of them that reproach thee fell on me.
The reproaches of them that reproach me that fell on me. Where did we read that at? We read that in 69th chapter of Psalm, didn't we? But the same one said his mother's children was angry with him. But the same one said that he was black. So who is this one that still is? Jesus, sister and brother. Yeah. This is what people don't understand. We ain't never dealt with the one that's called the Father. I can show you that in the New and the Old Testament. So all the things that Jesus did, sisters and brothers, it was because he was sent to do it. That's why I tell you in the 2nd chapter of Zechariah, I'm going to shake my hand over the nation, and they shall become a spoil to those that they have spoiled. Then you shall know that the God of hosts has sent me. It's always been him, sister and brother. So who is this that said he's black? Jesus, sister and brother. Now let's go back to Psalm. I told you to keep the spot there. That's why sometimes you need to jump off and find out who's doing all the talking. Because why do you need to know that? It's because somebody going to put in the footnote, see, this is between Solomon and one of the many women. And this woman here just happened to be black. Look, Solomon just happened to be black too. That's right. But this ain't talking Solomon here.